guys, Jim here. Welcome in once again. Today we're going to be taking a look at an offering from Kaviso, which is going to be a limited series run of the SBR designed by Les George and made by Protech knives. So the deal with this is the SBR, which stands for Short Bladed Rock Eye, which the rock eye is an original custom design by Les George. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. This is a limited series, limited run, and the offerings that are being done by Kaviso are exclusive to Kaviso. These are made in the USA. I'm pretty sure they're marked. Yep, right there, made in the USA, as with all Protech knives.
We start off with two words: made in America. Made in America.
You know, we're used to hearing Protech, we're used to hearing automatic, not fixed blades. So this is a little bit different. Yeah, they've made fixed blades, but not really a whole hell of a lot. But they also do make an automatic folding version of the SBR, and they also make a full-size version of the rock eye fixed blade. So there's a nice little family of knives there if you get into these. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at 6.5 inches in overall length. It is a 2.8 inch blade with a sharpening notch, sharpening choil, whichever way you want to go with that. The blade is S35VN. It's a 3/4 height flat grind, and the variations that are going to be available as exclusives through Kaviso will be this version here with the Stonewash and Blue G10 blade. Stonewash blade and Blue G10 scales. There's also a black oxide with Blue G10, and then there's also going to be a Stonewash with OD Green G10. So 3 cool variations, not many are going to be made available. As a matter of fact, it's taken me so long to get this video done because of my recent move halfway across the country and a couple of injuries along the way. I'm not sure if when I upload this, they're going to still be available. They were basically going to be releasing it as soon as I made the video, but I am several weeks late. I don't know what they did. I will say this: if the knife is available, look in the description. I will have a link directly to it in the description. If you don't see a link, then they're already sold out, and I apologize, but you can keep your eyes out for future variations or look for other variations elsewhere. All right, so basically the packaging, you know, it's not crazy. I got to reach around to get it. It's not particularly crazy, but it's typical good, high quality Protech packaging. So you got a nice big cardboard box. You lift off the lid. Inside will be your limited lifetime warranty, explained very well within it. And then inside of this soft foam will be the knife. And I believe the way it was packaged on top of the foam is where the Kydex sheath was. I'm pretty sure I'm correct on how that was done. It's a nice Kydex sheath, by the way. It locks in very, very securely. It's made specifically for this model, so it's rock solid, fits really, really good. It's got a nice clip on it. You can orient it in a number of different ways to suit your particular carry style, or you can just drop it in your pocket. You could take the clip off, throw this in your pocket, run a lanyard through the lanyard hole there, and you've got an easy pocket carry knife as well, which I think a lot of people are going to do as an option, and it's nice to have that option. You can kind of go a number of different ways with it. Basically, the whole idea here is being made by Protech, you get a really good deal. Protech is a small family-owned company based in California, and they were formed in 1999. And they utilize a small crew of people. It's not a big, enormous company. I mean, yeah, it's big by a lot of companies, knife company standards, knife maker standards anyway. But it's still a small company. It's family-owned. And they only make small batch runs of high-end production knives, and they also do some customs as well. They have their own custom shop where they do some really cool, unique engraved pieces and things like that. And they're using 3-axis CNC, they're using wire EDM, and some handwork, and that allows them to be very, very precise and very consistent from knife to knife. I can't think of any time ever that I've heard people complain about the quality of a Protech knife. I've had a chance to review a few Protech knives. the most recent being the Bob Truzola ATCF. And I can do nothing but praise them highly. They're a great company, really, really good people within the company. I've met a few of them, and they put out a stellar product, really, really great product. And this is really no exception. Now, a lot of people aren't into fixed blades. They're only into folders and out the fronts and other things like that. But I tell you right now, it is really, really good to have a fixed blade in your carry rotation. You're going to find a use for them all the time. You're going to have a stronger knife because it doesn't break in the middle, doesn't fold. So this is a solid design. It is a solid tang. It's a solid piece of steel with a pair of G10 scales slapped on each side and bolted down. So that is a solid piece of steel. It's going to do a lot more tough things for you than a folder will. And you know what? Sometimes you just want that feeling of a solid fixed blade, and you can't ever go wrong with them. Now, we talk about Les George, and I'm going to talk about the knife here in a minute, but I really want you to understand why I was really happy that this came out, because I really, really like Protech, and I really, really like Les George. And it's important to understand why. The quality standards of both are phenomenal. So seeing them working together really is a great thing. Les George is a Marine who began making knives in 1992. Now, he's no longer in the Corps, but I don't think you really say retired Marine or ex-Marine, do you? A Marine is always a Marine for life. That's kind of the way it is. So I'll just say a Marine who began making knives in 92. Now, not only was he a heavy equipment mechanic, but he was also one of those insane guys who searched for and detonated IEDs all around the world in all kinds of fun little war zones. And between knowing the tools for these jobs as well as being trained in CQB, he brought a wealth of technical knowledge back with him when he began making knives again after his tenure in the Corps. So what you've got is somebody that has used tools for tool-like things. He has used weapons for weapon-like things. He has been trained extensively in both. And after so many years of doing these things, whatever these things may be, you're going to have an idea of what you want in a tool or you want in a weapon. You're going to have some that you're using that you feel are lacking in some certain ways. And being a knife maker, before he went in, this is definitely somebody that came out and went, here are the downfalls of some of the tools and some of the weapons that I've used. Here are the things I would like to see changed. And here are things that I think could make them all better. So when he sat down to design the Rockeye, it was very, very clear it was done with a special purpose in mind.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Now, he's created several staple designs in the tactical knife world, but the most recognizable probably is going to be the Rockeye. Now, it was large with a big 4-inch blade, and for many, that was kind of unwieldy as a pocket folder. The SBR, the short-bladed Rockeye, has caught on with great popularity as a smaller EDC-style folder. And when you buy the Protech version, it's an automatic, so that makes it even better for a lot of people. Now, you can see the SBR here, or the full-size fixed-blade Rockeye, are both made by Protech. He's still making kick-ass full custom knives. That hasn't stopped. But he's also designed popular knives for Kershaw, for Zero Tolerance, Spartan Blades, and obviously Protech as well. So what makes this knife special enough that I'm going to sit here and ramble on about it for 10 or 15 minutes? Number one, it's the ergonomics. While yes, the bigger full-size Rockeye is going to be much more of a warrior's weapon, if you want to put it in those terms, I like this for EDC. Where this forward finger choil sits, it works also as a finger guard, obviously, but it puts me right where I want to be on this knife. And I wear large to extra large motorcycle gloves, so I've got pretty big hands. So even though this is a small knife overall, it fits very, very well. And let me tell you something, it is tricky Tricky as shit to design a small-sized EDC fixed blade that is going to, that people aren't going to complain about the size of the handle, that they're not going to complain about the blade being too short in relation to the handle. And this still has that a little bit. The handle is larger than the blade, but it's a well-balanced overall look because of the way it was designed. You're going to have a lot of things that you have to overcome. Believe me, I know this. I have made and designed several smaller sized tactical fixed blades, and it really is hard to find those ratios. It's hard to figure out that blade shape that everybody is going to want to use, because a lot of people that carry only folders, if they ever buy an EDC fixed blade, they may only buy one or two or just a small amount. They're probably not going to grow that collection as large as their folder collection. So you need to make something for them that they're going to be so impressed with, a blade profile that's going to be so useful that they're going to carry it all the time and they're going to tell their friends about it. And it's going to make them want to carry a fixed blade. So, you know, a lot of people will take the path of, well, I'm going to make a Tanto, or I'm going to make a Wharncliffe, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. And while in a folder, that's already limiting your audience, there are plenty of people that own several hundred folders, and they're just adding a unique blade profile to their EDC rotation. When it comes to a small fixed blade, they may only ever want to carry one. So limiting the selection and usefulness of your blade shape might limit your sales. So I think by going into this clip point, it was a great decision. It was borrowing, obviously, from his already very popular folder design. He even made mid-tech versions of that folder, the VECP, if I recall correctly. And those were wildly popular as well. But here you've got an S35 VN blade, good, strong steel, with good anti-corrosive properties, with good edge retention. Not phenomenal, not, you know, it's not S90V, it's not some crazy super steel. However, it does give you good edge retention, and it's easy to resharpen. You get into something more exotic, and you may have one that will give you a little bit of a longer lasting edge. But shit, when it comes time to resharpen it, it may be too challenging for you. You may get frustrated. You may end up having to pay somebody else to resharpen it. You don't have to worry about that with S35 VN. Another thing that I like is the scales do not go all the way to meet up with the tang. You could see the tang going all the way around. It's not quite shadow boxed. I guess you could still call it shadow boxed, but there's just a little bit of steel showing all the way around, and that allows them to bring the scales in that contour all the way down and not worry about how it meets up to the steel. They very, very gently softened the edges of the tang, so there's no sharpness to it whatsoever. There's no hot spots on the knife. Even the jimping feels really good. If you mash into it like you're supposed to when you need to, it's going to be perfectly functional. But if you're not, and you're just gliding across it even on the edges, it's not sharp enough to cut you. Nothing on the spine is sharp enough to cut you. Everything is just very gently softened, only a little bit, where it doesn't lose its very stark proportions and very sharp lines. So it looks good and it feels good at the same time. It also carries very, very well. Very easy to use in this sheath. I ended up carrying it with this clip orientation, but upside down on my belt, and I was able to just kind of pop it right out, nice and easy. I'm going to end up playing with different orientations and see what I like the best. And this is going to be one that I'm just going to thoroughly enjoy. And you know what? I love the color. I love blue G10. Yeah, G10 is super basic and it's just blue G10, you know, big deal. But there's something about that royal blue color of blue G10 that I've always enjoyed. It's nicely textured, so it's got like a nice friction to it, so it's not going to slip in your grip if your hands are sweaty or bloody. They're using standard hardware to attach it, so I would assume, I don't know that they make replaceable scales, but I would assume if you wanted to change the scales out, it really wouldn't be all that challenging. I do like the fact that it has the lanyard opening. You've got some jimping back here, and while normally I would say if you're gonna jimp the tang, you really should follow through into the scales. But again, because the tang is not the exact same size as the scale, the tang protrudes just a little bit. You actually do feel that jimping without having to cut into the G10. So I like that. Not really great for a reverse hold just because of the size of the knife. You're not going to get a good grip on it, especially where that finger choil is. This really is going to be a working knife. I can choke up on this. I could drop my finger right down the spine there, and I could do all kinds of cutting. You could do rock cutting. You can do whatever you need to do with this blade profile. It's useful for everybody. Now, I'm one of those that believes that a sharpening notch should be just up to the designer of the knife, whether they feel it fits with their philosophy of use and also their design. I do it on some knives and I don't do it on others. On a knife like this, where I might be doing a lot of slicing and a lot of draw cuts, I probably wouldn't want the choil on there just because it's just going to be a snagging point. But a lot of people are really only going to use the belly of the blade and the tip of the blade, so that's probably going to work out just fine for you. And as far as a tactical sort of usage, yeah, I mean, you've got that. Your pinky goes right around the backside here where it's been straightened out, where it's been flattened out, and your finger drops into here behind the finger guard, and you've got the jimping. It can pierce and penetrate. You can go in, you can give it a good twist. There's lots of different kinds of cutting that you can do with it. I still look at it more of, it's an EDC knife. It's going to fit into your EDC carry. It's going to work for everything that you need it to work for. Easy to resharpen. It's lightweight. It's super comfortable in the hand. And you know what? It looks handsome. It looks like a rock eye. Nobody can complain about that. So if this interests you, like I said, if it's available, I will put the link in the description down below, and you can get yours ordered. No matter which way you go, whatever color versions you go with, I think you got a winner. For me personally, I would stick with the stonewash if you're going to be using the knife, because it's not going to show wear quite as easily, and I like the look of the bright silver against the blue personally. So you've got that stonewash option against blue or against the OD green. If you go with the black oxide, just remember, it is a blade coating. It will come off after use. It's not going to come off easily, not like on the first use, but over time it will show wear, it will show its age. But with stonewash, well, it's pretty much going to look like this mostly forever. So thank you guys, as always, for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the new opener. I'm going to try to do a few more little cinematic things here and there whenever I have time. And there will be more videos coming at you soon. And I will see you on the next video.